Joining us now is political analyst Jim Moore, and executive editor of NewsGuard, which rates the credibility of news and information sites. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, guys. Lively evening.
Yeah, number one point, the elephant not in the room.
Yeah, obviously that was Donald Trump. If he were convicted, his 8 rivals on that stage were asked, would they still support him if he were the nominee? 6 of the 8 said yes. Somewhat haltingly, Ron DeSantis was looking to see what others were doing. But former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson said no. Chris Christie said no. And I think really notably, when Christie made the case for not supporting him, there were a lot of boos in that Milwaukee audience, and that underscored the huge support that Trump still has, even among Republicans who are not bothered by any of the indictments and tell pollsters they would not be bothered by any conviction.
Second point, the abortion rift.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. One sharp exchange between former Vice President Pence and Nikki Haley, in which he was very dismissive of Haley, the only woman on the stage, when it came to her saying she would not be for a federal ban on abortion, partly because she simply doesn't think the votes are there. I think Haley is kind of an interesting sort as to whether or not she might be able to lure a few independents and moderate Republicans by that position. Also, she was the only one who attacked Republicans for being partly to blame for the huge debt, and also was very outspoken on our continuing to support Ukraine.
Point number 3, a strategic surprise.
Yeah, I was totally surprised that there were so few shots taken at Ron DeSantis by his rivals, even though he's number 2 in the polls, and far more taken at a guy who nobody knew about 2 or 3 months ago, 38-year-old Vivek Ramaswamy. It's almost as if their consultants were telling him, well, that DeSantis campaign's really not going anywhere. But this guy, something could happen with this guy, so you better be on the lookout, and they pilloried him.
And a predictable piñata.
Yeah, teachers' unions. I mean, it was a Republican debate, and teachers' unions are red meat. But both Tim Scott, the only African-American on the stage, the senator from North Carolina, and Christie really went after unions hard, with Christie saying they were the greatest threat to America. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson was watching an alum of the Chicago Teachers Union, would not have been happy.
And last point, the conservative punditocracy's take.
Yeah, I thought far less important than switching over to see what MSNBC or CNN folks were thinking was to go to Fox, because that's the audience these people were playing to. And the consensus seemed to be that Trump was not in the slightest hurt by anything that went on last night. A few folks, maybe primarily DeSantis, did fairly well. Expectations were pretty low for him. And maybe even as the gadfly, Ramaswamy did okay. But they believe that nobody really made the case that they would be a stronger Republican candidate than Trump.
And how did Trump do on his interview with Tucker Carlson?
Yeah, totally predictable when I looked at it. You know, dismissive. He's the front runner. He doesn't, think that any of them are up to him. If there was one surprise last night, I thought it was the attention given to this Virginia musician, Oliver Anthony, and his song Rich Men North of Michigan, which Fox played at the beginning. And Ron DeSantis, a graduate of Yale and Harvard, made much of, saying, oh yes, those elites in Washington who are hurting the country. Bruce Springsteen and Taylor Swift would have been envious of the free publicity given to Mr. Anthony.
All right, Jim, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.